Hi, welcome to All for God Living, where you become the woman that God has designed you to be. I'm Gisela Sanchez, and today we have special guest Pam Farrel. So welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I want to thank you. She is an incredible woman. You have written over how many books?
45.
45 books, and it's a ministry that you've done. And what type of books do they range from?
So most of them are on the relationship continuum, whether it's dating or engagement, marriage, family, parenting. But then Bill and I also have books for just helping women achieve that I've written. Bill helping men achieve.
Oh, and that's wonderful because you both do this business together.
We do it together.
And which is also your ministry and just reaching a mass amount of people.
Right, it's called LoveWise. It's the intersection of God's love and God's wisdom. That's the intersection we like to hang out with and invite people to join us there in our Living LoveWise community.
Oh.
And it is global now, worldwide. Our books have been translated into 15 plus languages, and we've traveled to a lot of those countries around the world as well.
And you have a special group right now that you are pouring into online, don't you?
We do. We have our Living LoveWise community, and so people can join and become a member. You just go to LoveWise and you click subscribe, and you can choose your level of membership. That way you can be pulled in closer to what Bill and I do and get more feeding, more teaching, more encouragement, more equipping to bless and build all of your relationships.
So more so that you could become the person that God has created you to be.
That's the goal.
But, Pam, I really want to talk about things besides marriage, because we all know that marriage is a huge thing if you're married.
Right.
We all need help with that. But I want to talk to you about, being a businesswoman.
Yep.
And, being a businesswoman, and maybe you have children at home, maybe you have your vision and dreams, but yet there are challenges that are just kind of there in the way, because that's just how life goes.
Right, a lot of responsibility on your plate, yeah, and there's only so many ways you can cut that pie,
right,
and make the time stretch. Yes.
So you've done a business, and you have how many children?
We have 3 kids, and they're now grown. My first book was written when my youngest son was 2. And he is now 30, and they all have grown up to become awesome leaders, godly men in their churches and communities, wonderful husbands and fathers. And so in the parenting books, I know it works now. Right.
I need to read some of those.
Yeah. And probably the number one question that I was asked when my kids were growing up, whether it was when Caleb was 2 or when they were all in teenagers, years when the house was very busy, and I was married to a pastor at the time. Okay. So we wrote, we spoke, and Bill was pastor. I was director of women's ministry, so a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
A lot of plates to spin. It was like, Pam, how you do that? How do you have a happy marriage? How can you have healthy, good kids? And
keep the house clean as much as possible.
Right. And move your business forward.
Right. How do you do that?
That was a serious thing. And the first way you do it is you pray. You ask God to anoint the things that are of Him and get rid of the things that are cluttering up your life.
Amen.
And sometimes it's like down to the hardcore choices. I just don't watch TV.
Right.
That's a big time waster.
It's such a time waster.
Yeah. And I would much rather watch a podcast like we're doing right here, just because I'm learning, improving. So if I'm going to use watch time, as I call it, I'm probably going to be multitasking, like
cleaning the dishes.
Exactly.
That's what I do.
Making lunch.
Yeah.
Or going on a walk to take care of my exercise needs. Or as my kids, we're all sports, so taking them to their different practices and things, I would have meaningful things on the radio or podcasts that I was listening to, or now YouTube channels, or Facebook Lives, people that I follow that add value and enrichment to my life. So that's number one. It's like, how do you use your time, and how can you maximize it, and how can you multiply it? Then when the kids were little, I chose to do a lot of my writing after they went to bed. And so where other people would just cozy down and turn on TV and watch, a movie or Law and Order or some TV show, I'm like, no, before I go to bed, I'm gonna write a chapter. And so that's how 45 books happened, was between the hours of 8 and midnight. I maximized that time after my little ones had gone to bed.
And you wrote what inspired you at that season of life?
I did. So I was growing at the same time. I would use that to research and investigate what I knew would strengthen my life
Yeah.
and strengthen my family, strengthen my marriage. And I knew if it strengthened me, it was probably good to export it and help strengthen other women as well. And I was a women's ministry director during those years, so I really was tapped into what is going on in women's lives.
I love that. I stay up so late at night too, just like doing the hustle of what feeds my soul, you know,
Yes.
of whatever
Yes.
that is.
Yes, exactly.
So that is so cool.
And some of my friends get up early in the morning. That's just not me. But my husband writes really early in the morning. That's his thing. So you just look at like what are my priorities and how can I put them into my life in a way that everybody gets nurtured. I didn't want my kids to pay a high price for my calling, but I did invite them onto my team. I'm like, all right, you know, I am not your maid. And in 10 Best Decisions a Parent Can Make, I talk about the way we raise our kids to be learners, leaders who love God. And that means they had their own chore list. They had, you know, privileges and responsibilities every year. They got a learner leader gift that applauded their uniqueness.
I
Just
love
this
that.
design that we've been talking about that we all have, our kids have too, that imprint by God. And rewarding them by following through on whatever was on their to-do list.
So did you have like something in the kitchen wall that said,
Yep, we did. It's a learner leader chart. You can download it at LoveWise, and it has
Ooh.
privileges, it has responsibilities, and in the parenting book, there's a list of what kids can do at different ages and stages, and they can do a lot more than we think we can.
Yeah.
Like my kids are doing their own laundry at 8. Like,
I remember doing that at 8.
Yeah.
And the toilets. And
right. We want our kids to be good roommates when they, you know, go off to college. And even more so, because I raised all boys, I wanted my daughter-in-laws to love me. So I wanted to train my young men to really jump in and be hands-on
with
help
everything.
inside and outside the house. And my daughter-in-laws do love me now. So it was a good plan. It worked.
Good. That's so good. Yeah, because, you know, some men and some women don't do too much, you know,
Right.
in the home or, you
And
know.
some kids don't. Like sometimes nowadays we treat our little boys and little girls like little prince and princesses, and the whole world revolves around them, and that is not healthy.
Right.
Like it's healthy not to have a child-centric home, but rather a God-centered home.
Right.
And teach our kids to be a part of a winning team. It takes the team to move this family forward, and our family's going to help other families. And so teaching them to be those servant, those helpers of society, you know,
Right.
involve servant leaders. That's what we're going for.
I love that. I'm going to download that from your website. Okay, and another question for, you know, Christian business women. A lot of the times, you know, they want to talk about their faith in their business, and, you know, and even if they're an entrepreneur, what encouragement can you give them to truly
How to shine the light,
Yes.
basically. Yeah. Well, in 7 Simple Skills, this is my book. That subtitle is Success and Keeping It All Together. And so I look at the 7 different areas, kind of like a spoke on a wheel. And if each one of those areas are strong, it moves your life forward. And God wants you to be a light. And it could be that you being a woman of excellence and doing everything to its best capable level at the time, that's a light. It could be the way you treat people, love others as you would like to be loved, you know, treat others as you would like to be treated, that golden commandment, and just going out of your way to give more than even is asked for or required, you know, kind of above and beyond attitude.
Right.
That makes people feel cherished and encouraged and blessed, and they may then turn around and ask you, like, you always seem to go above and beyond. You always seem to be, you know, a woman who will stay up to make sure my deadline is met. Wow, I see like this confidence in you. Where does this come from?
Right.
And that's what you want. You want that question, because then you can answer with authentic, here, let me tell you my story.
Yeah.
And then you tell your faith story. I found that to be the most productive way to shine my light, rather than just slap a bumper sticker on something.
Right.
Is who you are. For Bill and I, our key verse is we love because God first loved us. It's 1 John 4:19. And we have been asked more times than I can even count what is it that you and Bill have? Because I want that in my marriage. I want that in my family. I look at your family and like you're happy, you're healthy, and like your kids are productive, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of fights. And so it's what people see that gives you that opportunity. That doesn't mean that we're perfect. You know, we share our imperfections as well. I authentically share fears that I might have and how God gives me a verse to answer those fears. Like that's what Discovering Hope in the Psalms is about, because everybody nowadays needs hope.
Right.
And if I share, wow, I was really feeling hopeless in this situation, but then God showed me this verse, and this is how it played out in my life, and how it brought strength or courage or confidence. People are like, oh, like how do you do that?
Right.
Like, how do you learn more from God?
I just want to see your
gives
butt.
you opportunity. That's actually a very pretty book because it's also got that the subtitles Creative Bible Study Experience. So it's got art as a part of that. Yeah, you can pop open that page so they can see that. You can coloring pages, right? And bookmarks and empty space that you can do your own Bible art.
I love this.
It's very creative. And
Wow, these are really good Bible studies.
And that's a deep dive too. It's if someone likes Beth Moore or Kate
gonna
Arthur,
turn this
those
around.
kind, they would love that Bible study as well.
So you have here, we're just going to read them real quickly, A Couple's Journey with God,
It's a little 5-minute devotional.
Red Hot Romance,
Yeah, it's 26-day journey with me to look at A to Z, the romantic traits that make us more loving wife.
I love that, The Secret Language of Successful Couples.
Key need of a man, key need of a woman, and what are they and how can we meet that need?
Wow, 10 Best Decisions a Single Can Make.
Right, so it's looking at the good life from the single's point of view and how do you create that good
I
life.
love that. So many people always want what the other person has.
Right, and there's a benefit to being single too.
Yes,
You get to
there
control
is.
the remote, and you can decide if you want to go on a mission trip.
A mission trip,
Yeah,
you know, go in anywhere.
exactly, at the drop of a hat.
Yes, the 10 Best Decisions Every Parent Can Make.
That's the one I talked about that has the learner leader chart and it has all cradle to college, how we raise our kids.
Becoming a Brave New
A
Woman.
lot of businesswomen like that one. It looks at who God is and how to apply all of who God is to our own personal life. I like to say, show me the size of your God, I'll show you the size of your opportunity. Big God, big opportunity. You know,
Awesome. I might have to get that one from you. The Before You Marry.
Yeah, that one is for when you're starting to date serious and up until engagement,
Oh, good.
up until through engagement.
I've heard of this one. Single men are like waffles, single women are like spaghetti.
Yeah, and this is the married version, that's the singles version, and it just looks at gender differences and how to make those differences work for you in
Oh,
all
yeah.
relationships.
Or else you have that crazy cycle.
You can fight or you can cooperate, you know, conflict or connection, we like to say. And these books give you the opportunity to gain connections. Yeah.
10 question kids ask about sex. Wow, that's
The
awesome.
birds and the bees, all the way
Yeah.
from, you know, preschool through college, how to answer their questions and be proactive in helping young people at every age and stage learn relationships from God's point of view.
Which is important because nowadays the schools are
Crazy.
teaching our kids.
It's crazy.
It's, yeah.
It's sometimes
That's another
too
topic.
much too soon, and that is a whole other
That's
topic. yeah.
another topic that we'll have to talk about one day. So Pam, I'm so like at wow with you because these are not even all the books that you've written.
Right. But you know, it's a good sampling, and it shows that God, if you give to Him, I love the whole loaves and fishes story. You know how they needed to feed 5,000. How do we feed 5,000? He sent His disciples out. They brought back the equivalent of a lunch, you know, little guy's lunch with some loaves and some fishes. And Jesus said, okay, I can work with that. And He just lifted it up to heaven and it multiplied.
Crazy.
And that's really, if we bring to God our, you know, gifts, our talents, our little bit of money,
Our little
that we might
sardines.
have, our sardines, exactly, and our little loaf of French bread or crackers. It's amazing. He adds Himself to the mix. Like this all started with one book idea and it turned into 45.
One chapter a night, you said.
Exactly. And so it's just being faithful with the little things.
Right.
And that's a Bible verse in the Old Testament that says, do not despise the small things.
Well, you encourage me a whole lot.
Good.
So I appreciate you.
You have some big things ahead. I know, because you have been
thank you.
faithful with some really amazing things. And one of those is helping women at a heart level, at a practical level. And I believe that God honors us when we have an other focus, because that's when we're most like Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I want to cry. Well, and you know what, you guys, if you want to see more Pam Farrel, you could also go to her website. But on October 10th,
11.
Excuse me, the 11th, October 10th is not the date, 11th, October 11th, she will be coming to our event that we're hosting, our yearly event, where we will be talking about the mission of All for God Living, and featuring more videos like this of incredible women just like Pam, and just sharing with you the vision. And it's going to be a night that we're going to have wonderful food, an amazing speaker who will talk about being a businesswoman, a mother that follows the heart of Christ.
How to create that simply beautiful life, how to have success, but from God's point of view. And we're gonna highlight that everyone's a masterpiece.
Yes, yes. So we want to shine the light on the masterpiece, and that's exactly what we'll be doing that evening.
So you'll leave feeling like a masterpiece. Who wouldn't want to come to that?
Right, so we're excited to see you, and more information below on this link so that you could go ahead and stay tuned for that event. And also if you want to get in touch with Pam, go to the link below and we'll get you hooked up to her. So thank you, and please subscribe to more of these videos. God bless.